Hey tolerators! This is To All the Men I've Tolerated Before with your host, Natalie Katona. Before we move forward with today's episode, I do have an announcement to make about the show going forward. Before I get to our lovely guest, Dina has decided to step down from co-hosting the show due to some scheduling conflicts. Our show has always put self-care as one of its main themes, so I hope you can help me send a lot of support and positivity as she shifts her energy to her other priorities. The podcast will still be a show that explores relationships and how myself and my guests handle living in this society that tends to favor men. I'm excited to continue manifesting and reflecting with all of you and have you with me for the show's future. So let's get that future going with my guest. Mimi Duncan is someone I have had the pleasure of getting to know through my sister. She's currently on my mantle. She's a former bridesmaid of my sister. She's in a family portrait of all of us. So I guess she's also an honorary sister. And I'm super proud of her because she has recently released her first book, Jailbait. And I'll be talking to her today about writing, the romance genre, and some other fun tidbits I know about her. Welcome to the show, Mimi.
You got me nervous with the fun tidbits you know about me.
That's right. Who knows what my sister let slip about you before this interview? She's like, well if you're gonna have
I'll tell you what, your dad does call your sister and me drinking buddies, so I don't even know what she knows.
But have you been to Flans?
I have, actually. We just did that like a couple of months ago.
So you've been to the diviest dive bar that I grew up near. I haven't even been to that bar.
I loved it. Honestly, I would go there all the time. I loved it.
Like, my whole body has a reaction when she tells me I went to Flans over the weekend. I'm like, ugh, the men that must hang out at Flans. Did you even have a man that you've tolerated at Flans?
There was this one guy there that they knew. And he was actually really nice. So,
okay.
Nothing, yeah.
Right.
I almost said, unfortunately, nothing bad happened. Nothing interesting happened, I guess.
Sorry, Natalie, nothing happened that was content worthy. It's just a dude that you knew from high school.
I think it was. I don't even remember his name. That's very rude of me, I mean, it was.
That's fine. We don't name men on the show because then they're going to want to sue us.
Oh, you know what? So that's fair.
They just have to guess. They're like, is that me? Is that how I gaslit her? I thought I abused her in other ways. But
I mean,
that one could be
you know, that it offers them the opportunity to self-reflect. So I think it's good. I think it's a good system.
And just get their detective gear going. All right. So, writing your first book. What led you here? Like, give me some tidbits about, like, I know you went to college with my sister, but you've clearly been doing other things. So what led you to writing your first book?
Not super interesting, but I've always wanted to write. So it was kind of just a matter of figuring out what I wanted to write because, when I was like a kid, when I was in like junior high, formative years, everything, I was actually reading a lot of romance novels. But then, as I got a little bit older, I got more jaded and I was in my like stuffy, pretentious college phase. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I thought I was better than romance or something stupid like that. And I eventually got over that. And I write a lot of fan fiction, and for anyone who doesn't know, fan fiction is just basically taking characters from any media and writing your own stories about them. And I'd say the general point of fan fiction is to get characters to kiss, whether or not they actually do in canon. So of course romance is a big part of that. And after a while I was just like, all right, clearly this is what I want to do. So with Jailbait, it was kind of just like a cult. Like, I mean, I started writing it like during COVID, and I was just like, man, I'm so sick of not having done this yet. Like, what have I been doing? What am I waiting for? I need to just write a damn book. And then I just did it. And it happened, it was almost like I, like, zoned out and I, like, snapped. And I was like, time to do this.
I love it because all of the memes are like, you don't have to write a book during COVID. It's all group trauma. We can all just take a nap.
No,
and
I
you
had
and I were
to
like,
do it.
Right, you had to do it, and I had to start a podcast, and that's called childhood trauma.
Sorry, Mom, if you're listening.
Sorry. Right. And that's called being a former high ability kid.
I don't actually know if I was ever a high ability kid.
Oh, really? Do you not?
I don't remember.
I know that you're not on TikTok, but do you watch TikToks and like self-diagnose yourself with things?
Not on TikTok, no. I am a grumpy old man when it comes to TikTok. I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want to look at it. Like, people will send them to me, and I won't watch them for like 2 weeks out of principle. I'm like, no.
But you eventually get there. You're like, okay,
I eventually do,
I'll watch the
because I like
penguin dancing.
I just feel so rude not doing it. I'm like, they took the time to send this to me.
They thought I'd like it.
I need to watch. I am in some ways a people pleaser, I guess. I'm a doormat. Yes. It's fine.
Well, and that's on childhood trauma. So, talk to me about Jailbait. Also, talk to me about your relationship with the word smut, because that's the word that I continue to use into my adulthood with romance novels. Do romance novelists like the term smut?
I think it probably depends on the person. I like it because it was such like common vernacular in fan fiction. Like, I definitely say it with a lot of fondness. I think if people say it in like a derogatory way, then like fuck them. But
fuck them.
I'm fine with it. Okay,
cool.
I mean, like, when I want to be, I don't know, if I want to like be more like professional, I guess, and like when I'm explaining what I do to people who aren't like familiar with romance or like the culture or community surrounding it, I tend to say erotic romance.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give them not a better idea, but like a
frame of reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some of the highlights? What are readers in for when they crack open Jailbait?
I will say it is a bit of a tough read, emotionally, because, and I didn't even realize it, which is kind of silly, because as I was writing it, I was unpacking a lot of my emotional trauma, for this book, but I was like, oh, this is fine. It's fine. Everyone's gonna be fine. But like, it is, and then I talked to like some of my friends and stuff, and they would tell me, they're like, this was really hard for us to read, to know that like the bad stuff was based on your experience. And I'm like, that is an angle I had not considered. Cause like,
oh shit.
What? Oh, I thought,
like, it's like, your friends are just like, sure, we'll read your book, and then they're in it, and they're like, oh, we should call her more.
I mean, kind of.
Call her more.
Sorry, when you said, oh shit, I was like, what happened to the audio?
No.
Yeah, it was, so that, I do want to, like, come up, because then, like, when I had turned around at some point, and I reread it, and I was like, oh, damn, like, I'm going through some stuff. Which I always knew, like, it was, should I give, like, a summary of the book?
Well, you could give highlights.
Okay.
You could give a synopsis. I know you don't want to spoil anything.
No.
Last week we had on Lisa Pearson, and she wrote poetry about, like, anything and everything traumatic that she had experienced going through the foster system, dealing with men and their uglier behaviors and things like that. So if you want to hint over, like we explored this in the book, and that kind of relates to this part in my life. Okay. You have the platform to do so.
Okay, well then, in that case, so yeah, my main character, M, she is dealing with PTSD from having been in an abusive relationship a few years before the events of this book happens. So a lot of it is about her journey into kind of rediscovering her confidence and what she wants out of intimacy with a partner. And she meets Ryder, her love interest, and it's just kind of about them exploring that emotional range.
Mm-hmm.
It is very emotional. I think I do strike a good balance between the emotional stuff and like humor and of course the smut parts. I will say I'm not going to name names, but I have had several friends let me know after they read it. They're like, this book got me laid because like their partner read it and it just went down. And I was like, I'm glad I could provide that service for you. Here's my PayPal information.
Here's my PayPal information.
I,
Remember to tip your smut writer
yes,
on the way out.
for real, for real. So yeah, I think, I mean, obviously you can expect romance. You can learn some things about me, I guess. And I hope generally it's like a good time and it kind of gives something good to whoever reads it. Um, if like you've been in a similar experience as myself
Mm-hmm.
and as M, I do hope it can offer some like catharsis and just a feeling of like you're not in this alone.
Yeah. I know currently, like, with the podcast and like revisiting even at the most baseline my toxic relationships,
Mm-hmm.
it really has put me in this place where I'm like, not one more man, not one more straight man. If all of the straight men decided that I only get to talk to only the straight men I've already talked to, fine. and and it's one of those things where you kind of have to grapple with it
Yeah.
because my therapist will also love to tell me that I wash everything out with the bathwater. One man manipulated me, so they'll all manipulate
Mm-hmm.
me. And I think when you have these romantic stories of like a woman who is clearly coming out of like a year-long journey dealing with her and that first relationship kind of exploring like, well, how do I view myself as a sexual being
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
anymore? I masturbate a lot, but I'm having a hard time like experiencing myself as a woman who would go out into a bar and like approach men again.
Oh my god, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I don't know, like it is definitely easier to kind of reacquaint yourself with yourself first. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
important anyway, regardless of your experience. You should definitely be comfortable with yourself and what you want, because if you don't know, then you're not going to be able to convey that to a partner. So,
And I think a lot of us have like spent time with those things that have been so easy to just kind of like, I'm making breakfast and I don't have to remember all the bad things that have happened to me because I have to get to work or get to my social
mhm,
gathering or
yeah.
whatever. And then we had this like long stretch period of time and it's like, oh, now the whispers are
Yeah,
coming.
yeah. It'll sneak up on you. Like I'll just be chilling, and then I'm like, "Hey, remember that one time?" And then I have to like lay on the floor for a while.
And I have to, right. I mean, fair. I love laying on the floor, especially like if that's where life has decided I need to be. I'm like, yes, I am a
Yeah.
floor person.
Emotionally, I am always on the floor.
Emotionally, I am always on the floor. So, is Ryder your main male character? Is he a man who deserves to be tolerated?
Hell yeah. Listen, if you're writing a romance novel and you can't even tolerate your male lead, you need to reevaluate what you're doing. Tolerating, like that is the, I mean, I know in real life that is sometimes the best we can do, but a big part of romance is the fantasy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we stan Ryder. Who doesn't love a man whose first thought when he sees the girl he likes is like, I want to go down on her. We love to see it.
Well, I
We
mean,
applaud it.
I have been told that by bad men.
Oh
Like,
yeah, okay, you know what? That's fair. That's fair. I will say my experience with that sort. I remember. I always think about this. This one guy I met at a bar somewhere spent.
mm-hmm.
It was probably like 10 minutes, but it felt like my entire lifetime. spent probably about 10 minutes explaining to me why he just won't do that. And to be clear, if you don't want to do something sexually, that's totally fine. Do not
Right.
spend 10 minutes telling me all this incorrect information about vaginal biology and then ask me for my phone number. Not. It's
The
weird.
gall. The gall of men.
It was weird. It was weird. I was like, I think I just stared at him because I was like, this has to be a joke. And oh, it was not. It's not.
Did he at least buy you a drink?
No!
No. The gall of men to walk up to you as you are enjoying the drink that you yourself purchased and being like, would you like to hear the 52 ways society has convinced me that I shouldn't go down on you, but you should go down on me?
And that's exactly it. It's like, listen, like, of course, the expectation is, and I guess we're getting a little heteronormative here, but the expectation, of course, is that we're going to do it for you, but, like, you don't understand that a vagina is self-cleaning, so you have weird hang-ups about it.
Well, so I even believe, so when I tell even my female friends, I'm not dating men anymore, it is done. And they're like, I don't know. Like, how are you going to handle that? And Taylor Tomlinson has a great joke where she's like, I don't date women because I'm at a point in my life where I can't be bad at anything new. Like, I can't be bad at one more thing.
Sure, yeah.
I can't try one more new thing and be bad at it. Which I get. But, like, the just, like, internalized, like, ick factor that women get about a part that they, too, also own.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you're going to get, like, up in there? And I was like, yes, I am.
Yep.
Like, I'm just, yes. Like, I don't know. What are my options? I was like, I don't know. But yeah, the just, like, internalized misogyny all the way around about women loving women or men going down on women, or I mean, a lot of bisexual men get a lot of hate too. There's the non-binary spectrum of it all. It's like we'd all be having a better time if we just chilled out.
Oh my god, that is what I think that every goddamn day of my life. I'm like, if everyone would just, like, be cool.
We'd all be having a better time if you just tried it. Yeah. I don't know. Just tried it. You don't know. You don't know what you like and what you don't like. I had convinced myself my entire life I didn't like sushi. It's my favorite food.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's just... And, you know, if you don't like something, that's cool, too. But just, like, shut up. I don't know.
Just shut up. I don't know. Just don't, like, corner me in a bar and, like, give me your 10-cent philosophy.
It was
on vaginal
so
health.
Bad.
All right, so you had kind of touched this at the beginning when you talked about how you had always kind of leaned more romantic in your fan fiction, but also felt like you were above it. I combat that a lot too. I combated that, like, in college when it would be time to, like, pick a genre of literature you wanted to present on, and I'd be like, I'm going to do Meg Cabot, so sign me up for that chick lit. And then people are like, that's what you want to do? How are you going to have deep thoughts about the Princess Diaries? And I'm like, spoiler alerts, I already do.
And, yeah, it's so crazy to me because, like, I mean, yeah, there are some bad romance novels, just like there's bad pieces of any media. But I think, to me, if you can write a good romance, you can write anything, because romance is all about the exploration of human relationships, and just self-esteem, and sometimes sex, sometimes not. And just kind of, to me, it's overall, I think the genre is just about learning to know yourself through intimacy with another person. And so it is inherently already really deep, and there is so much to say about it, so many conversations to have. I mean, I think all of the most profound, like, thoughtful literature I've read has been romance. So
that's lovely. Maybe I should have read the dialogue parts of 50 Shades of
No, you don't
Grey.
need to read that because it is a misrepresentation of BDSM and it's super dangerous. And actually, fun fact, fun project for everyone, Google 50 Shades of Grey sex toy injuries and you will
Ooh,
see the impact it has had on everyone.
that is a good
And also
point to make.
speaking as someone who worked in a sex shop, you know, so the flashbacks that are coming to me right now.
Did you have to deal with people's personal injuries with the sex toys that you would
They
provide them?
tried to get me involved, and my response was always, "I am not a doctor. I cannot give you medical advice. You need to go to the OR." They never wanted to go, which doesn't surprise me. You don't get
No.
your toys back after that because you can't be trusted.
Oh.
Yeah,
Now I'm just thinking of this like room of like sex toys that people have had to cut off of people at the hospital. Like it's a very museum esque
that would
room.
be a great museum.
Or
I
it's
would so
like
go. I would give tours at that museum.
or or it's the evidence room at the like police station. Like they're just bagged with your name on it and the shameful thing that you did to end up here.
The shameful thing is usually that they don't read the instructions, and I'm just
Right.
like, maybe you should have done that because
Right. The shameful part is you looked at one shape and then looked at another shape and you forgot that hexagon thing we used to play with
I
as
was just
children.
gonna say, remember that thing where you had to put shapes in like the corresponding
Yeah.
hole? Yeah, well,
And you
people
really
were
thought
bad at
you could
that.
put this yeah, you really thought that you could put the star in the square and you couldn't. That's not where it was meant
I
to
always
go.
say like it's this thing where people have this idea that if you can get it in, you can get it out, but I got my
No.
head stuck in a banister once because I thought the same thing. So
I mean, I think we've all had that moment where it's like, I really thought that this would work. in
just
my in my exploratory state, I don't know how I ended up here. I also like that people won't go to the hospital because they think that they're the only person who has
oh
misused
my
their
god, I
sex
know.
toy.
I'm like first of all, I remember like the first time I had this conversation with someone over the phone. And he was just like, "You know how embarrassing that's going to be?" And I'm like, "It cannot be worse than this conversation right now."
Right.
It's like they
Please
are
just go.
medical professionals. I am not. And I have worked like
Right.
I was a retail worker. I can't help you get the penis pump off.
I cannot help you
Yeah.
here. I what do you think it is about the way that we approach literature or our society that plays a role in how romance as a genre can get brushed off or have like a stupid reputation or things like
I mean,
that?
I think there people have said it before. We still have to say it. It really just comes down to like misogyny and this idea that if women like something or if something is like female dominated, then it's inherently of less value. Um,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's so weird. Um, like because so many genres utilize romance, even if it's not labeled as romance, there's romance in
Mm-hmm.
almost, I would say almost every story. There's romance or sex. Um, so I don't, I'm just like, we're all into it. Well, not, I guess not. Okay,
Right.
I misspoke. Not everyone is, and that's cool.
Right.
But no, it's just this idea that, if women like it, it's not
Right.
good. And that's
That's a good
silly.
point about romance playing a part in almost every movie you
Mm-hmm.
see, every book you read. Um, because it's almost like they'll admit that we are an audience that has money, so they get our money, but they won't respect us enough to say,
Yes.
this is for
Yeah.
you and it's valid
Yeah.
and you should enjoy it.
And I mean, even like you look at some like adaptations of books or older stories that don't have romance in it, and then like in the movie they'll sex it up. I remember the one example that really stands out to me is, do you remember that story that most of us had to read in high school? It was The Most Dangerous Game. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, in the movie, and it's an older movie, I don't remember the year. I just remember it's black and white. But in the movie, they added a love interest. So it was like the dude and like a lady who
Right.
are like running from the guy who's hunting them, and like they just added that. So I don't know.
It's like when people get knocked up during The Walking Dead, and I'm like, how did you have time to get knocked up during the
So
apocalypse?
irresponsible.
So irresponsible, but also like, who has the time?
Yeah.
You're traveling around with a troop of 22 other people, and y'all just thought, like, I don't know, we'll bane it out a couple of times
And
in the
then like I
woods.
also want to throw out there like the potential for UTIs when you don't have access to like regular showers too. Astonishing.
Right.
I don't think they ever touch on that, but I mean, I don't know. No one ever said it was realist fiction, I guess. So
No, and no one's ever hairy on The Walking Dead because there's a whole other brand of misogyny about women
hmm
and body hair.
yeah.
So,
There's always a bikini wax available regardless of the state of the world, apparently.
right. It's like we're on Survivor and we're really roughing it because of our
Yeah.
Bics. Like we didn't even have our Venus razors. We only had our Bics.
Man,
So,
I'll use a Bic, but that's because I'm cheap. But I tell you what, it's not really worth it.
no.
Bic is gonna come after me
Mm-mm.
now. They're gonna sue me.
Well, I guess we lost a sponsor opportunity.
Joke's on them. I don't have any money. So,
Um, so you did the self-publishing route with your
yes.
book. So you didn't really have to deal with anyone
No, and then
when you were
that
publishing.
was the main draw. Was I don't like to be told what to do. I was like, I'm gonna do this myself. Um, I wasn't. I like to be clear. Like I would collaborate. I would
Mm-hmm.
like take advice. I would, but I with Jailbait, it came down to this fact that like I said earlier, I was just so sick of not having done this yet, and I didn't want to wait on someone else to decide that I was good enough. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm just gonna do this myself. And two, again, because all of the bad stuff was based on my own experience, I just didn't want anyone touching that. Um,
Yeah.
I think there are a couple projects I have on my horizon that I would consider traditionally publishing, but to be honest, now that I've self-published, I'm like, I'm kind of into doing my own thing.
Yeah.
So
Do, do you feel, or have you in your other writer circles, do you feel like it would have been that much harder to try and convince a publishing house to go ahead with Jailbait because it's such a female forward, smutty
oh
story?
god,
And
sorry, go on.
usually publishing houses, I know because I watched Younger, are ran by men.
Okay, so here's the thing. I actually I don't think I don't think it would have been necessarily harder, just because. So what they don't tell you is that romance is the constantly the number one best selling genre, the most consistent. It pays for every other genre to exist. Um, and then two, you're looking at like the like resurgence of a lot of romance right now. Like I mean, look at Bridgerton, for example. That's based on a series of romance novels, and look how popular it is. So romance is actually
Uh oh, Katie, did I lose
no.
you?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear
Okay.
you. I think the video just hiccuped. You were
Okay.
saying about Bridgerton.
Okay. So yeah, Bridgerton is based on a series of romance novels, and God, it was like number one on Netflix for how long? It's like insanely popular. Um, so no, I don't. There would be no publisher who would turn their nose up at a romance novel. I mean, it's they're they're good moneymakers. Like even if they're not
Mm-hmm.
a bestseller. So no,
Capitalism wins
yeah,
again.
but no. So that did not even cross my mind as an issue. It was more for me. It was just more personal reasons that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and try to get other people on board. Because even if I had gotten an agent immediately, And even if they found a publisher immediately, like you're not going to see your book come to print for 2 to 3 years. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
best case scenario. And like I said, I was just over it. I was like, no, I was like, I have the tools to do this myself. I don't want anyone's input on this particular book because it is so personal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so no, but romance is not hard to sell at all. Um,
Well, thank
yeah,
goodness.
that's the thing too, which is why it's so ridiculous that it gets such like a bad rep, because it's just like the only reason your pretentious genres get to exist is because romance is paying the bills.
When do you remember how you got your first romance novel?
Yes, I do actually. Um,
And was it in a place of like, look, I got to buy this book, or was it something like you hid in a box in your closet, like our
I'll
mothers?
tell you what, I never had to hide books. I think my mom was just glad I wanted to read. So, like, I remember when I was like 12 and I was like, can I read White Oleander? And she's like, yeah, I don't care. And
There you
if for
go.
anyone who's read that, that is a rough read.
It's intense.
Um, but no, so when I was a kid, there was a Kmart very close to my house. We like me, there's nothing to do in the Midwest, so me and my friends used to walk there all the time. And I was probably like 12 and I wanted to get my mom a birthday present. And I picked up like this Nora Roberts book at Kmart. And I was like, this sounds like something a mom would like. And I don't think she was super into it. But then I was though, like it just like piqued my interest, because I had been a really big reader when I was a kid, but I remember like I was always disappointed when no one kissed in the books I was reading. And then I like realized, I was like, wait, there's a whole genre where like that's the point. So yeah, it started off as a birthday present for my mom and changed the trajectory of my life forever. I
My mom
guess.
chose to my mom chose me to give, instead of giving me the sex talk. We've talked about it before on the podcast, but she instead just handed me a stack of romance novels and was like, "This was your grandmother and I's favorite author."
You know what? Not. I mean, there's some shady shit in some romance novels, but I
Mm.
mean, it's not any worse than sex education in the Midwest. So again,
She told me, she was like, she called them like soft sex novels.
mm-hmm.
She's like, they're just like really soft. So you're not going to get anything weird.
Yeah,
And they were, and the nice thing about Laverne Spencer's romance novels is that the whole thing is that they're like set on the
yeah,
frontier, or like, so they look like just historical novels because it's just like a chick in a wagon on the frontier, and you can be like, this is
Little
anything.
House on the
And
Prairie.
right, it's a Little House on the Prairie. I did have a teacher in high school ask me why I knew so much about the JFK conspiracy theories surrounding his death. And I went, it's the B plot in my romance novel, just like out loud in
Yeah,
class. And he's like, oh, all right. Well, that one that you're reading now, just like in the open in front of us. Well, yeah, not jerking off at school.
I
What have you done at school?
I yeah, I would bring my romance novels to school, and I remember we were all a little like silly and maybe a little bit immature about it. But when I got like to the good stuff, my friends would pass it around at lunch, and we would read the excerpts out loud, like dramatically. And our principal, I swear to God, he always walked by as we're doing this,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like an older guy. He's seen it all. He would just like kind of
Yeah.
sigh and giggle a little bit and walk away.
I I remember mom would take me to used bookstores sometimes, and then like that's the gold mine
Oh
for
yeah.
horny
Oh yeah.
literature, is a used bookstore.
That's where it all happens.
So I like had this big bag of books, and I think that's how I got the Outlander series. But I remember being in the back of the car reading the back of the book in my sex operator voice.
Yes.
And my dad being like, "That's great that you bought books, but could you tone it down?" It's like when my uncle saw me like bump and grind to Hurt So Good for the first time, and he's like, this used to just be a song that you jumped around to, and now, and I'm like, now I'm a woman. That like moment of realization where it's like, when did you?
Yeah, yeah.
It was the same look. It's a very like, send us pictures of the father figures, uncles in your lives making that face that they make when they realize that you've become a woman. That'd be a fun reel.
Just the dead eyes.
Just the dead eyes as they look off into the sky.
Hello, darkness, my old friend plays in the background.
It's like when it's like over Thanksgiving when I ruined my uncle's Thanksgiving by telling him I don't believe in 401ks anymore. I'm like,
it's an impossible dream. I don't think they're real either.
It's an impossible dream.
Yep.
And then I double down with the planet is dying in 7 years.
Oh my god, don't hit me with that nihilistic shit, okay?
I don't know if you've watched the documentaries, but the timeline is not good.
No, I'll tell you know what I've been watching? I've been watching The Hunger Games again because I realized I have feelings for Woody Harrelson. So I've been busy.
I've always had feelings for Woody Harrelson, and he's good at yoga, so you know he can do some weird ass shit.
Woody Harrelson is the exception to my rule that I'm not into dudes who are shorter than me. And just to be clear, that rule exists because every time I date a guy who's shorter than me, he's kind of a bitch about it, but I think Woody Harrelson would think it's hot, so we respect it. So no,
Jennifer Lawrence on the set of The Hunger Games asked Woody Harrelson if his yoga chair, he had a yoga chair in his trailer. She was like, "Is this a sex
I remember
swing?
that.
Like, what is this?" He's like, "It's my yoga chair."
I don't know. You know what? When I worked at the sex shop, we did sell sex swings. I actually don't. I know what that looks like. I do not know what a yoga chair looks like.
I don't either. I do know that I have random hooks all throughout my house, and I've always joked that my bedroom is big enough for a sex swing. I was like, and that's where the sex swing could go, because there's just so much space. What else are you gonna do with it?
They're really expensive. I'll let you know. I mean,
I am poor.
If you want, I mean, I always say, like, you know, toys and equipment. It's an investment in yourself.
It is.
But yeah, they're pricey.
Like any good hobby.
Yeah.
You have to pay a lot of money for it to get the return you're looking for. We had Ellen Moore from the Slut Show on talking about sex toys, and then she was talking about buying her actual name brand toys, and I was like, I have the Amazon version of that because I am poor.
You can actually find some pretty decent stuff on Amazon. I tend to recommend people go to an actual sex shop, to be honest, because you're actually not if you can get something good for like $30 depending on depending on what you're looking for, I guess.
Do you have any fun stories about the men that you encountered at the sex shop?
I have 1,000 of them, and I'll tell you what, I'm actually looking forward to one of the books I have planned is going to be a fictional account of a young woman who owns a sex shop, and I'm going to put all my stories in there. And it'll be fun because I won't have to fictionalize them because they're already so fucking unbelievable.
Because they're branded on my brain.
I think about Butt Plug Guy at least 6 times a day. I want to just give like the abridged version of this story, but like,
do it.
This guy came in, basically it's 10:30 in the morning. I wasn't even done with my breakfast soda yet. He comes in. It takes me the better part of my day to convince him not to stick an anal vibrator. Can't even speak. It took me a good 20 minutes to convince him not to stick an anal vibrator up his girlfriend's pussy. Don't do that.
Again,
like, it's called an anal vibrator for a reason.
They're made for certain points.
Yeah.
Like points of entry.
Yeah. He just was not having it. And he also definitely did not actually have a girlfriend. He was a liar. Because his story, his story kept changing. First, he wanted to get it for his girlfriend. Then he wanted to get it because he was having an orgy. And then when he left, all he bought was a masturbator, which is fine, but don't waste my time.
Don't waste my time.
Yeah, he was the rising star of my career at the sex shop.
When you worked at the sex shop, was it usually just you manning the sex
Yeah.
shop, or did you work with other employees?
So I worked at a very, very small location. So after you got trained, you worked by yourself.
Got it.
So
do you know if you were treated weirder than your coworkers
no,
as a woman?
no, because actually at my location it was all women who worked there.
Okay.
We did have one of our managers, like one of the upper managers, who was there a lot because we had a lot of employee turnover. He was a dude. But no, I mean, you definitely got your weirdos who like.
Yeah.
We'd have guys call who like were definitely masturbating, and they treated you like a phone sex line. I was like, sir, I make $10 an hour. This is retail. It's niche retail, but it's retail.
I could just see some lonely asshole like calling you to try and make you like describe the pocket pussies, and you just like deadpan knowing he's whacking it, being like, well, we have a nice model in gray with an orange inside. It has rave reviews. It has like a heating gel in it, so it's got like
there were ones that heated up. Those were the pricey ones, though. These assholes were never spending that much money.
No. And he's like, yeah. Just what about the next one? Okay, well that model is in blue. Purple inside. Yeah, it's a great color combo.
You know, like by describing it right now, you're gonna have some weirdo on the internet contact. Yeah,
I hope so. I hope so. I'm gonna be like,
I did, like as soon as I figured out like what they were doing, I'm like, not today, and I would hang up.
I've had the like fragile men reach out to me because of the podcast and the title and what I post on our Instagram as like reels and TikToks. Mm-hmm. I have yet to have a weirdo reach out to me.
Well,
and I believe that that's how you know that you've made it, when the weirdos come out.
I could live without them. I gotta tell you. Speaking of tolerating things, there's not much I'll put up with anymore. So.
Well, honestly, do you have a certain behavior that you know? Because, like, that's also the theme of the podcast, like, coming to grips with the behaviors that we know are our pattern to tolerate. Like, I love narcissists because they're charming until they're not.
Yeah, for sure. And they're always hard to spot at first. Yeah. You know what? I have not dated in so long at this point, which is, like, in some ways a good thing. You know what? For a while there, I was dating a lot of musicians, and it was a mistake. Musicians, you know. That was a mistake because you would think... I'm trying to think of how to put this delicately, but there's no way. You would think a guitarist would be good with their hands, but they will strum your vagina. I don't know.
Oh, no.
In my experience, that's what happened. And I'm like, what is he doing?
I hate being fingered because it's always traumatic.
Oh, you know what? At the time, because I was in my early 20s, so I just like pretended it was fine. If that happened to me now, I would put an end to it. I'd be like, no. I would put an end to it immediately. So that... Yeah, that had been my pattern for a while, but like I said, I have not even dated anyone in like 6 years now. My skin is really clear, so
my skin is really clear.
Things are going well. No, at this point, like and I will say through writing romance, actually, I've kind of like discovered like a lot of what I want, what I would be looking for in a partner, what I want out of intimacy. And I got it. These guys on Tinder just ain't it. They are not it.
Oh, I can't do it. I'm on Hinge.
I tried Hinge, and then they tried and then they told me, here's this 19-year-old you should date. I'm like, I wasn't aware this was a babysitting service, but, and then I
It's all
deleted it after that.
you can't filter out by age on Hinge. So like 22-year-olds will be like, maybe she'll support me, and I'm like, no,
No, no, no,
ah,
no. I won't date younger. My ideal age range is 8 to 16 years older, and I will make exceptions for even older than that, but not for younger.
I understand that. I understand that. I love a silver
That's what I'm
fox.
saying. Woody Harrelson.
I do. Like I love and when you start to go gray, that's when I'm like, ooh, when you start looking
Yes.
good. Mark Ruffalo, I'm talking to you, Mark Ruffalo.
Absolutely, yes.
When you start looking
Yeah.
good, because it's now. Um, oh my gosh, I lost it. I lost it. Oh, musicians.
Yeah.
I have a thing for musicians
Don't do
because
it.
it takes a great deal of confidence to take me on, and
Yeah, you need
musicians
a
lead.
narcissist, actually.
I do. Thank you. I need a kind narcissist. Let's see if that
I think that's an oxymoron.
exists. Musicians lead you into this false security where you believe that they have a lot of confidence
Hmm.
because they have to be on a stage so often, and you're like, look at you, just commanding this room. I'm taking off my bra and I'm tossing it up there. And it can be any musician. Like, as soon as I know that you can sing, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it it's toxic. There are several photos of me when I was younger drooling over some man that I thought was really hot in the band, and then the lights come on, and that's when you take a picture with
Hmm.
them. And then you get home and you're like, that was it. That is what I looked at
The,
all night
the illusion
long,
is shattered.
visualizing. Ugh. Ugh. And I do. Musicians are, I have to believe that artists are good. But
Hmm.
I've watched the movie Rockstar, so I don't know why. I believe that they have to be good in their souls.
I mean, you can watch any behind the scenes VH1
Mm-hmm.
and you will be absolved of that delusion, I think. Um,
God.
no, yeah, that was definitely my number one. But since then, I tell you what, I had such a bad experience so early in my romantic life that, which is not a good thing. Obviously don't recommend. But so my 20s were a lot of, well, self-destructive behavior and kind of figuring out where I went from there and how I moved
Mm-hmm.
on with like the PTSD and how it was going to affect my relationships and my standards moving forward. And I didn't have the language for that. I didn't have like the emotional capacity to handle that for so long. It's really only been within the past couple of years that I've been figuring it out. So, which is nice. So, like,
Which is,
I feel like I don't have a ton of like really fun, like ridiculous dating stories because
yeah.
most of them are just kind of sad because I was in such a bad place.
They're just
Yeah.
sad. It's
We
sad.
laugh, yeah, we laugh so as not to cry, etc., etc.
we we talk a lot on this show about the invisible emotional labor that women take on in their relationships to
Mm-hmm.
just make everything okay. And I get to this place where I'm like, well, it's almost more exhausting for me to have to shatter the it's okay narrative, because then I have to walk you through the last 6 months of our life and be like, this is when it started not being okay.
Yeah,
And no, I didn't say anything because I was overwhelmed and exhausted by all of the other things that weren't okay.
yeah, yeah, and that's why, and like, so that like brings up a good point too. Like for me, like what I would look for in relationships is someone who is willing to communicate with me. I'm not. I'm too over the whole like charade thing or like sugarcoating things
Mm-hmm.
just to make it easy. Like if I'm with somebody who can't handle communicating our issues if they exist, like then I'm not doing it. I again, my tolerance level is 0.
Mine
Yeah.
too. And it's all thanks to you, tolerators. It's all thanks to you. What's next for you now that the first book's out?
More books. That's, I'll tell you what, it's been, so Jailbait came out probably like 6 months ago, and it's been, I swear to God, like figuring out like the marketing and just like how this whole self-publishing thing works has been more work than writing the actual book was. Now that I've kind of like got my footing with it, I can concentrate on writing again. I The plan is for the sequel to Jailbait to come out probably this summer. I was spending so much time trying to write it, but it was so hard because, like I said earlier, they're just continuing to unpack emotional trauma back to back. I'm like, I can't write this right now. So right now I am working. So like along with this series that Jailbait is a part of, all of which, like the crux of which is talking about mental illness and emotional trauma and how we navigate our relationships with that kind of baggage. I'm going to be working on like another series where the stories are just kind of lighter, still sexy, still smutty, but just tonally kind of easier to swallow. So right now I'm working on the first one in that series. And I'm having, I'm having a good time.
It's nice every once in a while to focus on our life.
Yeah. And I decided, I was like, the best thing I can do is kind of switch back and forth between these two kind of universes. I will say I do plan to kind of like, all of like the universes I have planned will like overlap. Like you'll see characters, you'll hear about characters who exist in other books and other series. I'm really excited to do that. Like I like playing with like how my characters can know each other. And then too, like, you have all these secondary characters. You have like your leads for the next book and the next book and the next book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have so much planned. Like,
that's great. Because once the momentum happens, I like went into a big depressive spiral when we were on break for the podcast, because it was like, well, now I'm just kind of working my shitty day job. I've got nothing that I'm like waking up and being excited about to organize. The TikTok algorithm was all fucked up because of the holidays. So. Ugh. I hope that eventually they do like a degree, like you can get a bachelor's degree in the term algorithm.
Yeah, that's just it. My major is algorithms.
My major is the algorithm, and I study the algorithm to try, because we all should have gotten marketing degrees, is what this process has taught me.
Oh my God! Yeah, I'm like, what was I doing? But
I could have been selling myself on OnlyFans.
Oh God, I wish. Oh, I would love that, honestly.
Honestly. Could be just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just selling myself because I know how to market. But yeah, it's nice to like, once you like, out all of the, that's why we did like episodes about like stupid movie crushes and things like that, because you can't live in the, oh my God, I allowed myself to make all of these mistakes, or I was in that place.
Yeah.
I like to call it the point in my life where I'm watching Emily in Paris. There's nothing of substance, but it's prettier to look at.
Yeah. Hey, really quick, can we pause?
I think we're ready so we have 2 traditions on the show.
Okay.
We always end the show with our biggest growth moment and where we're hoping the future goes. So your biggest growth moment would be for the romance genre and writing for the romance genre. And then I would do my big takeaway from the conversation. And then your manifestation would be where you hope either you end up in the romance genre, where you hope female writers end up, or how you wish the romance genre itself would change.
Okay. Oof. These are deep. I think for me, it was just having the like self-possession and the confidence to be like, I can do this on my own. And that's what's right for me. and I just made the decision and I stuck with it. I didn't question it. I didn't second guess myself. I just went for it. And for me, especially as a Libra, combating that indecision and that low self-esteem was, in retrospect, like, again, like I had such tunnel vision at the time when I was working on this, but in retrospect, like, I really did the damn thing, and that's like nuts to me.
You did it.
Yeah, I did it, and like now I just gotta keep doing it. And that's kind of, it's almost kind of surreal, but like, yeah, I'm like, sorry, I'm having like a self-actualization moment right now.
You're just like, oh my God, I did
it. It's sometimes like it'll catch up to me, because when I finished the book, it was like at 1:30 in the morning on like a Tuesday. Nobody was awake. I just had to like sit with it myself, and that, like, so it's just been, yeah, my timing has always been a little shit, but no, sorry. When I get like to moments like this, when people actually ask me about it, I'm like, I really have to like go back, and I'm like, oh my God. So that for me was it, and just kind of moving forward with that kind of mindset and mentality. As far as women in the genre, we own this. We run this bitch. Like, I do hope we can, like, I think more and more we're getting to a place where I think romance is more well respected. You're never gonna get everyone on board with anything except for Pokemon Go. I guess that was the one thing. But
and then the pandemic killed
it. Yeah. But yeah, I just and I just, for me, I've gotten over, like, I just don't care. If people don't like what I'm doing, I'm like, whatever. Like, the world is wide. Go over there. I can't change your mind.
The world is wide. Go over there.
Need that on a t-shirt when people don't stand 6 feet away from me in the grocery store.
No shit.
What was your last question? I feel like I missed something.
Just anything that you would hope for moving on into the future that either betters the lives of women, society. Maybe men could start appreciating the genre a little bit more.
Amen. Seriously, guys, I mean, it can be tricky because, again, like, not everything out there is good. But you could learn a thing or two from a good romance novel. So pick one up.
Pick one up.
As far as I think society goes, I don't know, man. I wish for world peace, I guess. Yeah.
I think my biggest takeaway from this journey with you and your first book and getting to interview you today is like, God damn it, we really are living in an age where if you want to do the thing, do the thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to publish a book, publish a book. And I think my biggest takeaway is we have to be more purposeful about where we're putting our energy, because I know you and I have texted back and forth about this. I feel like as artists, we are asked to live day lives, and then our other life is our art.
Yeah.
And what a world it would be if I could just be respected for my art. So I think being more intentional where my energy goes, keeping my mindset in that anything is fucking possible. We can all write books. We can all climb mountains. We can all do the thing that we want to do if only we actually direct our energy over there and not where capitalism and the patriarchy and our families and our friends would be more comfortable with us diverting our attention. Because I think as artists, we make people uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first question a lot of people ask me is, like, how much money are you making? And I'm like, first of all, rude. Second of all, like, just, that's not the point, I guess. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, yes, the goal is to be able to pay my bills and make people feel good at the same time. That sounded sexual, but, respect.
Respect.
But, like, that's just, I don't know, for me, like, just not what was on my mind when I wrote this book was how much money am I going to make off my emotional trauma. Not
Right.
about it.
If only we lived in a society where we just got to be and still eat,
Yeah, imagine.
maybe we maybe we wouldn't have to ask people on the cusp of their big new thing, but
Hmm.
how much money are you making?
Yeah, it just like
And have you thought?
it totally deflates me. I'm like, I just
Mm-hmm.
like accomplished this huge thing, and you're boiling it down to what my bank account looks like, and it just, I don't know, it like kills you. It's a
Yeah.
gut punch, and I stop asking me that, guys.
And I think like my manifestation for just authors of the romance genre in general is I hope that everyone just keeps exploring.
Hmm.
I think we're also entering an age where sexuality and gender are on the spectrum and we all get to just like play.
Absolutely.
And as a student of the artist way, I'm always down for play. So pick up a book, get inspired by the good ones, not the bad ones, and play around a little bit with these confinements
Hmm.
that we find ourselves in our patriarchal label obsessed
Yeah,
society.
and we could definitely, yeah. I think the main criticism for me about romance novels, we just have to diversify. Um,
Oh,
but that's true
100%.
of any genre, really. uh,
When
yeah,
when I Google like books where two ladies love one another, it's not an easy Google
I would
search.
say that like it's happening more and more, which is good. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're definitely. I feel like on the cusp of like a kind of renaissance when it comes to representation in our media. So
Thank
we're getting there.
goodness.
We're getting there.
All right, now we get to brag.
Dope.
We were really good for an entire hour and we didn't brag about ourselves at all. So now we get to be vain.
I never do. I
Um,
never do. I tell.
so now you get to tell everyone how to connect with you, how to connect with Jailbait, and how to make sure that they have all of the updates coming their way for all future projects.
So yeah, you can find me on social media. Obviously not on TikTok, as I have expressed my grumpy old man opinion about that earlier. But you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, both at the Babbling Madge. That's TheBabbling You can find me on Tumblr at mimiduncanbooks.tumblr.com and Facebook, Mimi Duncan Books /Facebook or whatever the Facebook address is. You guys know. You guys know.
Type it in the search
Yes.
bar.
And I would also like to plug my cover designer, Meg. You can find her on Twitter at Redbells, Redbelles. She is incredible. I fully would not have had the patience to deal with the cover without her. If you need logos, book covers, graphics of any kind, hit her up. She's open for commissions. And I think that covers all my socials. Yeah.
Awesome. Nice. Nice job supporting another artist. We love that
She
energy.
is, I have deeply romantic feelings for you, Meg. You really, you're
Meg,
showing up.
if you're out there.
If she's out there, I would just texted her yesterday.
Okay.
She's out there. Find her.
Well, hopefully she's a tolerator.
Oh, oh yeah. I think she's my one straight friend.
Well,
So she puts up with it the most.
we all have
The token straight friend.
a a fatal flaw, and mine is that I've moved through 32 years of my life very straight, and now I'm like, oh, it just hasn't worked out. Just, All right, our plugs. Make sure to like and subscribe so you know whenever a new episode is coming out. We just came back from a break, but I'm feeling really great about where we're headed. Leave us a 5-star review and a comment about what you're enjoying. That can happen now on both Spotify and Apple and on Good Pods. So just leave me all of the comments everywhere whenever you have a feeling. Our Instagram is at Men I've Tolerated Pod and Natalie K124. It's really important that you start following us on our socials. I have something big that is in the works for hopefully mid-February.
I know what it is, and I'm very excited.
And in order for you to be a part of this big announcement, you have to be following us so I can get a hold of you easier so you have access to what is happening down the line. So make sure that you're staying tuned in for those updates. And then you can email us questions about your relationships or anything you need advice on at Men I've Tolerated Before at gmail.com. And I can also start highlighting your Dear Natalie letters, and then we could all work towards making you feel better about something. All right. Katie, it has been oh God, I went the whole episode.
I know you were good. Yeah, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, my real name is not actually Mimi Duncan. Surprise. That's all right. You did good though.
I did do good. It's because I just avoid using people's names.
That's fair.
Because how often would I be sitting in the room with you and continuously using your name?
Yeah, that would be weird. I wouldn't.
It would be awkward.
It would be weirdly intimate. Just like, that's something a weird person would do. I don't know.
And that's why I don't do it. But it was a pleasure having you on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to be back whether you like it or not, so.
Hell yeah. Because I don't have to tell you this because we're already like friends / family / you're on my mantle. But basically stay in touch. And this is where I beg all of our guests to text me every day and to text me their every thought. And we can have fun whenever we want to have fun. And tolerators, you have to remember, you don't have to smile through anything that you're tolerating. Smiles are for joy. Don't fucking smile if a man is telling you that a book you like is stupid. And that's all I've got today.
Throw the book at his face.
Throw the book at his face. We love violence.
I actually don't.
Everyone.
I actually don't condone the violence, but yeah.
We just end the episode with, we love